If you're ready to say goodbye to being a boss babe or hustling 24/7, welcome to Life in Business. This is the podcast for women just like you who want an easy and effective way to grow your business that's built around genuine work-life balance, not growing a £1 million empire. I'm your podcast host, Libby Langley, award-winning business coach and Amazon best-selling author, known as the Queen of Easy Business because of my sensible and easy-to-implement ways to earn more by doing less. In Life in Business, I share with you how to make small but effective tweaks, how to be confident in your business decisions, and how to make a healthy and guilt-free profit doing exactly what you love the most without working 14 hours a day. Get ready to make your dreams a reality. Here's this week's episode. Let's talk about content creation. It's one of the questions I still get asked over and over again. And I started teaching people how to use social media for their business way back in 2009. I ran my first Facebook and Twitter, back then, workshops. And it was, kind of the same questions were asked then as are asked now. And it was much simpler back in the day because you could put a couple of posts out on Facebook in a week and make yourself quite a lot of money, quite frankly. It was much simpler. It was a much neater kind of landscape, social media. But the principle's still the same. And the principle is still the same that content is kind of the hardest thing, what do I say? What do I say? How do I come up with ideas? What do? I don't know. I've got to put something on Instagram. I've got to put something on TikTok. I've got to put something on LinkedIn. I've got to put something here. I've got to do this and I've got to send an email and I've got to do this and that's, it's got worse, okay? The questions that are being asked now are still, in essence, the same questions that were being asked back in 2009. However, the landscape is much more cluttered now. The social media content creation space is much more cluttered, is much busier, is much more bang, bang, bang. You've got to do everything now and lots of it and multiple posts a day and all of this. And it's really quite stressful. And it's kind of no surprise in some ways that there's a bit of a movement of people wanting to leave social media. Now, I'm not in that camp. I love social media. I've made some great friendships there and I've got lots of clients from there. But it's quite an important part of my life, actually, because I work from home, I work for myself. And if it wasn't for social media, I kind of would probably never talk to many people. I go to a few in-person events, but a lot of my conversations do happen on social media. So to me, it's a really important part of my life as well as my business marketing mix. But the drain and the pressure of having to always create content is very, very real, even for those of us who are seasoned pros and have been using social media forever. Kind of is always something that's there. So what I want to talk to you about today is ways that you can easily create kind of endless streams of content. And this is not endless streams of utter shite. This is endless streams of good quality content that's thought through, that's strategic, that signposts your customers on the journey that you want them to go on and works for your business. So you put the effort into creating the content and that content works for you in terms of bringing new clients to you, growing your reputation and building your business, okay, and your authority. So that's the kind of content that I'm talking about, not just content for content's sake, because quite frankly, you're better off doing nothing. It's an utter waste of time, just content for content's sake. So I've got 3 steps for you to follow today so you can easily create endless quality content. And the first one is to have a central content hub or a big thing, okay? So I don't mean in terms of a spreadsheet where you save all your content ideas. I'm not talking about that. Do that if it works for you, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is a big central piece of content. Now, that could be that you write a blog. It could be that you do a weekly YouTube video. It could be you have a podcast like this one. It could be that you've written a book like I have. If you've not read my book, then Life in Business, Easy Ways to Work Less and Earn More and Embrace True Happiness is for sale on Amazon, on Kindle and in paperback. So you can go and get a copy of that. But it's a big content hub, right? It's a big piece of central content. And an email as well. So the emails that you send to your list, they can be your central piece of content. They don't need to be thought of as anything separate. So if you think of a kind of spider diagram, right? It's funny because when I did my MBA, my master's degree, my dissertation was on social media marketing strategy and corporate communication. That's a sexy old thing. And I created a model within my dissertation. So this was, when did I finish it? 2012, I think I finished it. So, while I was working in social media. And I created a model. I forget what it was called. It was probably called, the Libby model or something. I can't remember. And it was very much, it was what I'm about to describe to you. And it's funny that all those years, that was in an academic setting, but all these years later and in a non-academic setting, it actually is utterly relevant. So if you think of your big content or your content hub, your central content hub as the centre of a spider's web, right? So you've got your big thing in the middle, and then all the prongs that come off it, like an atom or like a spider's web, you have the thing in the middle and the legs come off, then those are your other content strands. And those are the things that we're kind of talking about today that are your endless content, okay? There's an infinite number of prongs, legs, strands that can come off your central bit in your spider's web or your atom, or however you think about it. Okay, so this is something that I talked about in my MBA as well. So it has full academic strategic backing, what I'm saying to you now. So your big thing is your central content point is a blog, YouTube video, podcast, book, email. I would actually add an air of caution to having a YouTube video as your central piece of content, because the other things, so a blog is on your website, podcast is hosted independently, a book is a thing, right, that you could hold, an email, you own the email addresses. So YouTube is the only one of those where you're not in control of it. So social media accounts, and I include YouTube within that, somebody else owns them, right? You upload the videos, but if your account gets hacked or something, then you can lose that. You can lose that account, okay? So your central hub, really, I would advise to be something that's not social media dependent itself, okay? Social media is the strands that come off, the legs that come off the central hub. So having somewhere big like that you can direct people to is a great way for you to build your authority, because what it does, these big pieces of content, like a podcast like that, it builds up into a really incredibly useful bank of evergreen content. So if you're getting asked questions by people, you can say, oh, I did a podcast on that. Here's the link. Oh, I wrote a blog about that. Here's the link. This might be helpful for you. Oh, I talk about that in my book. Here's the link. Oh, there's an email. I've written an email about that. So get on my email list. It's a great evergreen resource to have this big central piece of content. And it's a really good way of building your email list, because you're creating this content and you tell people about this content, so people are going to want to come into your world and give you their email address in order to be notified of this content. And it's a fantastic way to build your authority, which is what we like, because the more authority we have, the more of an expert we are, and the more people want to come to us and work with us, right? So it's a good thing to do. So you've got your one central hub. That's point number one. The second thing to do is to divide your big thing into lots of little things. So let's take the example of a blog or a podcast, because they're remarkably similar, actually. One is spoken word, one is written word, but they're quite kind of similar in terms of their concept, right? It's a longer discussion about a topic. So if you take your blog or your podcast, then you can actually divide that into multiple little things. So at least 5 social media posts can be created from one blog or one podcast, possibly 10, depending on what the content is, how long the content is, but between 5 and 10 social media posts. And there is software that will help you do that. There are new AI tools that will help you to do that, so you can upload your content and it will spit it out into smaller chunks. You can outsource this to a VA, or you can just sit and do it yourself. It doesn't, once you get into the kind of habit of doing it, actually it probably doesn't take as long as you think. So for example, with a podcast, you can just listen to your podcast and type out a few sentences that you've said, and they are your content. They can be your content. So you can type them directly into Canva if you want to. But it's not too onerous a task once you've created the big thing, okay? But like I say, you can outsource that. You can use some of the new AI software to divvy it up into smaller bits, or you can just sit and go through it. And then, so if you've created between 5 and 10 social media posts, and I mean like kind of static social media posts there, then each of those posts could be recreated into a video or a reel, and a very short video or reel. So let's say less than 60 seconds. And you can use those on any social media platform. So you can use them on LinkedIn, you can use them on Instagram, you can use them on TikTok, you can use them on Facebook. So you can repurpose those, you can use them across all social media platforms. You know, all of this content you can use it everywhere. It's not dependent, it's not specific just to Instagram. So you've got your one central piece of content, you've created between 5 and 10 graphics in Canva with sentences that you've said, salient points. You then talk to camera and make some or all of those sentences into really short 1-minute videos, okay? Or you can, if you're recording a podcast, for example, you can video yourself doing it, and then you can divide that video up into snippets. But it's up to you which way you do it. But there are different options there. But you've got 5 videos, reels from there, and from that you could also then do a couple of lives. Now, lives are quite good when they're relatively short. So a live could be 5, 10, 15 minutes long. That's, no longer than that, because unless you make it a big thing that you're announcing that people kind of look forward to seeing, I guess, people are often chance watching it. And the shorter it is, the more likely you are to get people to watch the whole thing. So between 5 and 15 minutes is a really good length of time for a live. And that would just be very slightly more information than you've got in your short videos, in your reels. So, for example, if you've got one blog or one podcast or one email as your central hub, you've created between 5 and 10 static social media posts from that. You've then turned that into 5 to 10 videos, because you've basically kind of just said the thing out loud that you put on the graphic, and then 5 60-second videos can be turned into 1 5-minute live. Or if you've got 10 60-second videos, you could turn that into 2 5-minute lives, you see? And all you're doing is creating the content once. There's a bit of extra fiddling about to do with stuff, but you're kind of just reading your own script, right? So it's the easiest possible way to have lots of content on the same topic. And that's what's so strategic about this, because your big content, your central content hub, your big thing is going to be something that you've actually kind of thought about, and is going to be like an answer to a frequently asked question, or like this podcast today, something that I've been asked about hundreds of times over the last 12, 13, 14 years, whatever. So it's something that is a big thing in your industry, and is going to help people if you record a podcast about it or write a blog about it. But if all you're doing is creating content each week, like the big content each week, and then thinking, oh shit, what shall I put on Instagram today? It's like, you've already created the big thing. So why are you not using the big thing? And why are you not driving more traffic, directing more people to the big thing? Because the big thing is the thing, right? The big thing is the thing that you want people to subscribe to and listen to, and the thing that will actually kind of get you the clients, because it builds the authority and it builds it validates everything that you're saying, because they can hear you explaining things. Yeah. So don't waste the big thing that you create by your social media content not then coming off that, not then being a leg off the spider body, or whatever analogy I was using. Strand on a spider web. So the third thing is, just to say, actually, from that one big piece of content, if you do 5 to 10 social media posts, 5 to 10 videos and reels, 1 or 2 lives, that's actually potentially, maths, 22 pieces of social media content from one big thing, one blog, one podcast, one email. Yeah? So that's pretty incredible. So even if you did if you cut the lives out because you don't want to do lives, that's still potentially 20. But if you halve that, then it's going to be 10. And it's really easy from one piece of big content for you to create a week's worth of content, right? You need seven pieces for a week to post something every day. We had 22 a minute ago. So you've created like 3 weeks of content from one piece of content, from one big bit of content. So do you see how this is why I say why this podcast is 3 steps to easily create endless quality content, because the way I just explained, they're pretty easy to create 22 pieces of content from one central big thing. Yeah, easy peasy. So you ain't never going to run out of social media content. You ain't never going to run out of it. Okay, I guarantee you that. And then to the third thing, the first point was to have your central content hub, your central big thing, your blog, your podcast, your book, your email. The second thing is to divide your big thing into lots of little things. And then the third step is to batch the lot. Okay. I'm not advising you here to create your big thing and then think, right, what did I say? What did I say in last week's blog? Right, let me just look at it again. And what was that? What was my train of thought on that? That's not good. That's not going to work for you, okay? So you create your big thing and then you sit. You do bum in chair time, and you sit and you spend half a day, however long it will take you, to create all the other bits of content that relate to that. So that might be spending time uploading it into some AI software and getting it to generate that for you, and then editing it a bit, and then recording a few videos. It might be listening to your podcast and typing out sentences that are useful. It might be to sit and to really kind of delve into the nuances of what you're saying and create some really whizzy graphics or some imagery that matches the kind of mood of what you're saying. It depends entirely what your business is, right? And then, so spend half a day a week, however long it takes you to do, to get all that smaller content together. And then, crucially, schedule the lot. Okay? And that means then that all your social media content across all your platforms, however many channels you use, it's all scheduled, it all goes out. And then the time that you spend on social media during the week is replying and engaging and connecting and chatting and the nice stuff with social media. The stuff that I said right at the beginning, you know, the stuff that for me particularly is so important, the conversations, the connecting with people, the making the friendships, the talking, taking people from casual commenter through to client, all that kind of stuff is the nice conversation stuff on social media. And if you batch create everything and you do allocate half a day a week, say, to get this done, it sounds like a lot of time, right? But I bet you a whole £10 that if you added up how long you spend creating content for social media during your week, it will be longer than 2.5, 3 hours, half a day, right? Because, you know, my background's in education, so half a day is 3 hours, full day is 6 hours, okay? So 3 hours, I bet you. Because to create one reel, I need to create a reel. Right, what am I going to create a reel about? Okay, right, so now I need to set my camera up and I need to record something. Okay, and what was the point of this? What am I talking about? Yeah, I bet you that's almost half an hour each time, actually, from start to finish, okay? Because it's not an effective use of your time. Whereas if you are batch creating everything, you can sit there and you can be 100% strategic and on message and on point and absolutely nail what you want to say and think, how is this helping my customer journey? Where am I directing them? Yes, this is how I'm directing them. And because you're doing it all, you're sitting down and you're having bum in chair time and you're sitting down and you're doing it, it will be much quicker. So don't balk at the idea of half a day a week, because I bet you, if you add up how much time you spend, it's longer than that. Okay, this is about being honest about how you spend your time and about actually being thinking like a business owner, right? Being properly strategic and getting the shit done, right? It's as simple as that. So the 3 steps to easily create endless quality content are: have one central content hub, one big piece of content, such as a blog, a podcast, a book, an email. There's somewhere big that you can always direct people to. And then number 2 is divide your big thing into lots of little things. So one blog could be 5 to 10 social media posts, graphics in Canva. They can then be turned into videos or reels by you recording, you talking to camera. You can then make some of those into lives, okay? And the 3rd thing is to batch the lot. Set aside half a day a week to create all the content, small content from your big content, and schedule the lot. I want to hear how you get on with this. I want to hear how strict you're going to be about this and what's kind of been really inspirational for you in today's episode, what this has kind of sparked for you. So please do message me on Instagram. It's the best place to always get hold of me. I'm at Libby Langley, and I genuinely love it when you get in touch with me and say, yeah, listen to that episode and this is what I thought, or challenge me. You know, that's always cool too. I'm always open for healthy discussions about things that I've said in here. But yeah, so I'd love to hear from you. And the 3 steps to easily create endless quality content is just the best way for you to run your business. It will make sure that you stick on track, you stay on track, and means you're never off brand. And you never, ever, ever run out of ideas or content. Never. And if you listen to last week's episode about managing, running your business when you're sick, if you follow this process, you can be sick and you can take time off because everything is covered and everything is sorted. So, yeah, woo! I'm very much looking forward to hearing how you get on with this. So thank you ever so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Life in Business. Please make sure that you subscribe or follow so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review, as it helps others to find the podcast and spread the word that there's an easier way to do business. If you want to chat with me about today's episode or suggest a topic for the future, I would love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram @Libby Langley. See you next week.